my name is Tori Payton. I am a sophomore strategic communications major from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, my name is Daisha Edmondson. I'm a freshman criminal justice major from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Hi everyone, my name is Tamia Witsy. I'm a freshman journalism major from Houston, Texas.
Hi, my name is Chantel Gordon. I'm a freshman psychology major from Richmond, Virginia.
Hi, my name is Marley Strauder. I'm a sophomore marketing major from Los Angeles, California.
We will be your tour guides as we take you through our journey through biodiversity.
We will be taking you on 4 stops this evening, including the tropical rainforest, the Pacific Ocean, New York, and Europe.
But wait, do I see a celebrity on board? Is that Dr. Dash?
It's the dad.
What?
Wow.
Dad?
It's great to have you on board. Hopefully you can share some of your knowledge about biodiversity.
But in the meantime, keep all hands and feet inside the vehicle because it's going to be a crazy and eventful ride.
First stop is the hot and humid tropical rainforest. Being that tropical rainforest is the oldest biome on Earth, species have had an abundance of time to evolve and adapt. History has played a major role in the development of tropical forests. In the Cretaceous period, a massive extinction occurred which allowed room for development of new species. Tropical forests are filled with abundance of biodiversity. Animals such as monkeys, birds, snakes, rodents utilize the many trees in the rainforest. For example, without the trees, there would be no place for shelter, no main source for food, and nowhere for the animals to hide from predators. Most insects and small species never descend to the ground, therefore they depend on benefits from trees to survive. If a tree gets affected, it can easily affect the trees surrounding them, meaning every living thing that depends on the trees for resources become affected as well. Each living thing plays a small role within each other. Next stop on our tour is the Pacific Ocean.
Thank you, Tori. On our next stop to New York, we first have to go across the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean was discovered by Ferdinand Magellan in 1519. The Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean and has the most marine life, making it full of biodiversity. Having diverse ecosystems not only make the ecosystem more beautiful, but also dangerous. Hey, watch out for the shark by your foot. Many of the various species play important roles in the ecosystem. If we lose some of these species, therefore losing biodiversity, food chains, for instance, are subject to drastically change. For example, if you look down on the right side of the boat, you'll see a black marlin. Black marlins are an essential part of the Pacific's food chain. For example, if the black marlin species died out, large sharks would lose a source of prey, and lancet fish, the marlin's prey, will not be eaten as frequently. This could result in an excess of lancet fish and possibly a decrease in large sharks. And if we lose some species who are structural elements like coral and seaweed, many other species might disappear as a result. For example, there are fish that feed on seaweed to keep them from smothering corals. If these fish die, so will corals. There are also fish who eat predators of coral reefs. To help conserve marine biodiversity and to make sure these changes don't happen, we need to find new methods of recognizing marine species because we often severely underestimate the number of species in marine habitats. But enough about the Pacific. Let's go to the city that never sleeps.
Thank you, Deja. Right here in Central Park, we can see a variety of living organisms and ecological complexities, also known as biodiversity. Researchers have estimated that there are about 3 to 30 million species on Earth. So far, we only know about 1.7 million species, so with that being said, we have a long way to go until we find out what the Earth truly has to offer us. But just here in New York, there's enough variety in the park to give us an idea of how diverse the world truly is. We can find bees, pillbugs, and much more. Scientists have discovered 174 species of trees, which you can see if you look to your back, and 200 species of birds in Central Park. A few trees are the black cherry and swamp white oak, and some birds are pigeons and hawks. Organisms in the environment benefit from one another. For example, squirrels eat the fruit, sap, and seeds from the trees and spread their seeds. The relationship between plants and animals seems almost mutualistic. Animals get food from plants, and plants are able to effortlessly reproduce. Now, The most important idea to take from this is that each species is tightly connected with one another, and the species reflects each other. We can see this when observing the way animals live. Like, for example, that red hawk over there, do you guys see it?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. Without rats and pigeons, the red hawk wouldn't even be here because that's what they feed on. Imagine if there was only one type of species in Central Park. One, it wouldn't be as big of a tourist attraction because there's not much to see, but mainly, there wouldn't be enough biodiversity. Let's go back to the 1930s when the Dutch elm disease spread. Since there was a lack of biodiversity, the disease wiped out nearly all of the elm trees. So from this, we can see that without biodiversity, we can all die simply because if we have the exact same genetic codes, we will be vulnerable to the same diseases. No one would even be strong enough to survive. However, if our genes even slightly vary, changes in nature will not affect us all. Some species will be immune to some diseases, and others will not. Basically, only the strong survive. And organisms will adapt and reproduce more fit offspring. But before we even understood the importance of biodiversity in all aspects, there was a time where we didn't even know why populations were dying so rapidly. But our expert Chantel is here to tell us all about it.
Thank you, Tamia. Next, we went on our way to Europe, the home of the Bubonic Plague. Earlier on our tour, we talked about biodiversity, loss, and other species extinction, but not about humans. The bubonic plague and other diseases in history show humans have become distinct and therefore lose biodiversity. The bubonic plague was caused by bacteria carried by fleas that lived on the black rats. These fleas are thought to have been passing this deadly disease around to people. The plague caused fevers and painful swelling of the lymph glands called buboes. People would also get bumps, which initially were red but later turned black. The infection takes 3 to 5 days to incubate in people before they fall ill, and another 3 to 5 before in 80% of the cases the victims die. On average, 23 days before the first person dies. The plague killed 30 to 60% of Europe's population. However, due to human genetic diversity, it is unlikely for one pathogen known as Yersinia to kill everyone. But the devastation from a major pandemic could be so severe that a civilization never recovers. Well, that was the last stop on our tour, but before we exit the trolley, let's review what we learned.
Thank you, Chantel. So as a recap, biodiversity is the variety of life in the world, or in a particular habitat or ecosystem. In other words, it is a variety of many different living species here on Earth. Biodiversity is important because it can be studied on many levels. For example, at its highest scale, you can look at all living species on the entire planet Earth. On a smaller scale, you can observe the ecosystem of something as small as a lake or a pond. Biodiversity is also important because it provides us with a wide range of foods and materials that contribute to our economy today. For example, our grocery stores would have way less produce if it weren't for diverse pollinators, plants, and soils. Most medicine discoveries to cure disease and lengthen lifespans were made because of research into plants and animals. Biodiversity is also a very important aspect of ecological services that make life livable here on Earth. For example, in order for us to live on Earth, wetlands cleans water and absorbs chemicals to provide oxygen for us to breathe. In addition, here are a few variants of biodiversity. There's genetic biodiversity, which is a variation in genes. There's genetic biodiversity, which is the variation in genes that exist within a species. There's also ecological biodiversity, which is the diversity of ecosystems, natural communities, and habitats.
Well, thank you all for coming out to the tour. I hope you guys had a good time and you learned some fun information. Make sure that you pick up everything, dry yourselves off. I know the Pacific Ocean got you guys a little wet, but you know.
And make sure y'all don't have that plague.
Right? But tell your friends to come out next time. Thank you for coming again.
Thank you.
All right.